We got this recording now. I am a Control Option H. Hey Sophie, it's good to see you.
Hi, Sophie.
Slide down one. Musical chairs.
Yeah, feel free to cover the doorway or whatever we got to do. But I am a big proponent of extremely high quality videos. They are extremely difficult to make. WFG, a guy named Taylor was a head office WFG, and they said we should make a video like promoting WFG called they called it I Believe or something like that. And they said, what's the budget? And they said, well, can you make it for like 10 or 15 grand? And Taylor said a photographer to hire a videographer is 25 grand deposit. And then the video editor, and then the sound, and we got to buy the music. And we're looking at like 100 grand. And he never got a video made. He got it the cheaper one. Someone else made the cheaper one after he left. Because he didn't want to be a part of a cheap video.
All right, get your phone there.
Got it. You want to got that video too?
Yeah, can you just click on it?
Bless you. But
Let's
Aegon.
go to the phone.
if you ever doubted,
Oh, no.
it's fine.
That's okay.
If you ever doubted Aegon's budget, look at their videos. I would assume this video is 100 to 200K cost of video.
Yeah.
I think they put money into this.
This is a new one? Get the emotion. Yeah, that was very.
I'm gonna share
emotional.
that on my Facebook. I got goosebumps. Right?
Aegon does a good job, eh?
Yeah.
I like when they picked up the phone, they made that the climactic moment.
Mm-hmm.
I hope when my son turns 85, he's good looking enough to get into a video like this.
We should nominate Aaron to be in the next video.
That's how you know you're good looking, right?
I know, like,
Made it to an Aegon video?
Yeah, or whatever.
Most people lose their financial security when they get old, when they lose their job.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts that unemployment, or retirement used to be unemployment? But we wanted to take the shame out of being unemployed, so we called it retirement. But old people are just unemployed, and most likely unemployable.
Yeah.
Is it true?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Canadian life expectancy at age 65 will be 20 years. Most people are not saving enough. True?
Correct.
Retirement has less to do with age 65. It has to do with the amount of money saved. If you have plenty of money, you don't have to wait till age 65. True? If you need $1 million at 25, if you have no credit card debt, could you save $300 a month?
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, go like this. Just unlock.
I was like, why?
At age 35,
No.
He's testing his camera.
at age 35, Ruth, could you touch that phone and just click it through?
Not sure
And
should
do
fit
what?
there, yeah.
Join the video?
Oh, yeah.
Join the video.
Not everything.
And then click
No audio. probably.
no audio.
No audio. And then got it.
If it's sideways, can you swipe down from the top corner?
Top. Yeah, here.
Yeah, swipe down and then unlock and lock. Let me show everyone so they can figure it out. So just like when you hold the phone, if you swipe from the top, you can unlock and lock, and then it'll turn sideways for us. Otherwise, you gotta turn it and turn it. So,
That's what I
but our technology is we have iPhones and whatever else. But at 35, if you have no car loan, you own your cars, 2 cars. You know why you need 2 cars?
One for you, one for the hubby, your
This one is
Mhm.
In case one
In case
has a
one
gas
dies.
tank.
Too soon.
Yeah.
backup.
Too soon.
Well, Aaron,
Listen.
in case one vehicle's gas tank starts leaking.
In case you crash one on the highway. Or if I'm in the highway.
Let's say you have no car loan, no car debt, and no credit card debt. Could an average person save $700 a month?
Yes.
Yeah, I would say so.
At 45, if you have no mortgage, could you save $1,700 a month?
Absolutely.
And at 55, you have no job, you're operating a business. 50 grand is not a big deal to save every year.
No.
Correct?
Correct.
So we're gonna look at retirement planning. By the way, if you are not gonna save money, none of this matters. Poor people don't need financial literacy. They just need like emotional control. Because they don't have any money, right? So here we're gonna ask questions. Where can I find my growth in retirement? Average returns may not be your returns. I would recommend giving a client a book. And I go to time and timing. We don't see this book at all on Zoom, right? You guys don't, does everyone have a book on their pocket? Probably not.
In my electronicness, yes.
So I got it here. Check this out.
No. Gotta share desktop.
Zoom.
Here, boys.
Oh, look at you.
1 second. Let me find
Page 67.
63.
new share. Desktop one.
What if I just hold it in front of the camera?
There we go.
Put it on your head and start flipping.
So here's what the client should see. When I'm saying at page 63, depending on which version you have,
Just look at this.
Okay.
I don't wanna like bend this stuff.
I'm looking at
I know I'm that person, sorry. Careful.
so the newest book has 25 years, but the oldest book has here we go. So I can see the average return is 6 to 8%. Correct?
Mhm.
But the reality is That is between 1871 and 2021. Now, some of those periods, some of those 25-year periods, you did 2, but some 10-year periods, you did -5 on average for 10 years in a row. So which decade are you going to retire in? Are you going to retire in the best decade where it was 10 years in a row on average? Or -5, 10 years in a row on average? But over 100 years, the average 10-year period is 6.8. But the average doesn't mean you. Just like if the average person isn't very healthy, that has nothing to do with your health. If the average person has debt, it has nothing to do with your debt. If the average person got 6.8 in their investments, has nothing to do with your investments. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so going forward, what is the next 10 years going to be? Is it going to be, and by the way, there's a myth that the tallest mountain you've ever seen is the tallest mountain that ever existed.
Ooh,
Does that make sense?
yes.
And there's another myth that says the tallest mountain that ever existed, when we look in the past, is the tallest mountain that ever will exist. That there will be 10-year decades that are worse than this in the future, and there'll be 10-year decades that are better than this in the future. Because just because you've seen a mountain doesn't mean mountains won't get bigger or smaller. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So we can't extrapolate to the future.
Mhm.
We can build common sense, but averages are different.
Mhm.
Do you guys see my screen? Average returns may not be your returns. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Now, here's the question. What are your thoughts about that? You're giving earthquakes to Zoomers.
Oh, you're talking about mountains. I wanted to add a trembling up there.
What are your guys' thoughts about this? Is that new, or is that surprising that people might go through a decade of poor returns?
I definitely have not been reading that chart that way, so I'm glad. you
Yeah, it's a
broke it
nice
down,
way to put it.
because that's not how I was understanding it.
Okay.
So that was helpful.
This is the part where we close the business, where the client tells us how they feel.
Yeah, I definitely didn't know you could have a negative. I didn't know that it meant that you could have 10 years of negative downturn. I thought it just meant that.
The previous worst year was 58,
Yeah. I did not.
but that doesn't mean your worst year is limited to 58.
Correct.
Your worst year could be -70.
Yeah, it could be worse.
Let me paint a picture. Most of the money in the stock market, about 100 trillion, is borrowed. If those loans get called, that money comes out of the stock market. People will re-earn the money and put it back in eventually. But if people don't have access to money, they don't want to buy your stock. That makes sense?
Mhm.
The more debt in the world, the more likely one of those loans will get called. So, where do I find growth in retirement? Is the stock market the best place? Here's another question. Do I have to take the risk of my money not growing? Do I have to risk my capital? The traditional financial industry says more risk, more return. Is that true?
Not necessarily.
Let's think about it when it comes to gambling.
Nice analogies today. Let's look at gambling.
Let's say I'm playing blackjack
We all laugh.
and I play one hand. Let's say I play $5 a hand and I have $1,000 in my pocket. And I play one hand. What are the risks of me losing money?
Pretty high.
You're gonna lose it.
Pretty high.
All I'm concerned about is my capital. Let's think about this. I have $1,000. I put $5 on the table. Am I gonna go bankrupt?
No.
No.
In that one hand, no.
Am I gonna go broke?
No.
How much of my capital am I risking?
0.5%.
0.5%. Now let's say I play blackjack for 1 hour does my risk go up or down?
Goes up.
Let's say
Well,
Depending if you're making or losing.
yeah,
it doesn't depend.
it doesn't.
Risk does not correlate with return. In fact, the better I do, the more risk I take.
Because you might bet more.
Because let's say I have $1,000 in my pocket. After an hour, I have 2,000 in my pocket. And I plan for playing, and now I plan for playing for 8 hours.
Oh, it's not good.
So now, does a guy
Put the
playing?
first 1,000 back in your bank and then you just pay the rest.
Yeah.
So
That's not
does
good,
risk
like,
go up when you extend the time horizon? When you're playing blackjack,
Sure,
I would say yes.
we're talking about risk of loss.
right.
Risk goes up, yes.
Yeah.
So now let's say there's going to be a monster recession, and I invest for 1 year, or I invest for 40 years. Does the 40-year-old investor have more exposure to risk, or 40-year-long investor have more exposure or less?
More.
More. Risk goes up the longer you invest.
I see what you're saying. I have had to disassociate the risk to the return.
So, for example, in marriage, the risk of divorce goes up the longer you're married. Here's why. I could pretty much guarantee I will not get divorced this year.
Woo!
But because it takes a while to figure that out. But over the next 30 years,
Never know.
the risk goes up. True?
Mhm.
I guarantee I will not get divorced in January.
February, maybe.
Well, it takes over a year to get divorced because you got to go through a bunch of rigmarole.
Yeah.
So does risk go up or down when you are investing? So dollar cost averaging works against you in retirement. Here's what I mean. Let's say you have an example in here, dollar cost averaging. You guys got to study that on your own. You show it to the client in the book, point to it, and then what happens is if the share price is $100 and it goes down to $50, dollar cost averaging says you should buy more shares. You guys agree?
Mhm.
Mhm.
But what happens when you're selling, let's say you're selling $10 a month and shares are worth, but let's say you're selling $1,000 a month. Shares worth $100. You sell 10 shares to make $1,000. You with me?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Share price goes down to 50. How many shares do you have to sell to withdraw $1,000?
Mm.
20.
20. And so if shares actually have an intrinsic value, you're selling 20 of something when previously you only sold 10 of it.
Mm.
So now your retirement is costing you twice as much.
Mm.
And when you go to recover, you have less money in the pot to recover.
Mm.
Let me show you an example. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So people don't want to risk their money in retirement. When you're saving, risk and volatility is good, but when you're withdrawing, risk and volatility is bad.
Mm.
We go back and say, how do you feel about risk in retirement? And people typically have no idea. The squirrel buries more nuts than it needs because it understands it won't find them all.
Mhm.
The human being saves less money than they need because they are not as smart as a squirrel.
Ouch.
That sounds like was that pilot? That's
Pilot?
Might have been
So-
William that said that. He does
How
like
much- How much money do I need to save?
Lots.
Yeah. Lots. How much is lots? As much as you can think of.
We gotta be smarter than squirrels.
20 times your
Yeah.
salary? That's not even that.
So
That's insurance.
Formula 1020. Many financial professionals believe Americans need to save more for retirement. However, it's not a question of saving more, but vastly more.
Mm.
To be assured, by the way, getting into retirement is different than being set for retirement.
Mm.
Okay, go on.
So when someone asks me, how much money do I need to be set? 20 times your income. Someone says, how much money do I need to retire? 2 weeks pay. Because you could retire, fail, and go back to work, but you're not set,
Oh, okay.
right?
Mhm.
To be assured of having enough money in a comfortable retirement, they advise you to have 20 times your annual income by the time you retire. Thus, if you make 50,000 a year, the target retirement number should be 1 million. And people today will live long lives, some to the age of 100. If I live to 100, I will live till 2083. 2183. My money's gonna last to 2183, right?
Not 21.
No,
2083. You're gonna live
20.
to 200.
2083. So, will I run out of money?
Technology.
Yeah.
What happens when you run out of money when you get old? Money buys experiences. And if you can no longer buy experiences, the one definition of living is collecting experiences. So if you no longer have money and you can no longer collect experiences, how good is your life? Right?
Depressing.
Broke people are depressed.
Yeah.
I like buying experiences. I think it's a good use of my money.
So do I, and I can tell you it costs a lot because I travel lots and it costs.
It costs money, right?
It does, so you, I can talk from experience, I'm gonna be 70, I can talk from experience. You have to have lots of money.
Last question here. Do I have to lock my money up? I would like to walk away at any time if my situation changes. So page 67 says, by the way, your credibility in this business doesn't come from your experience, it comes from this book. There was a guy 2,000 years ago who had no credibility. And in season 3, episode 3, he opened a book and he read from it and they tried to throw him off a cliff because they didn't think the credibility didn't match. But reading the book gives you so much more credibility. Even that guy needed to read the book. But I can look at page 67 and I can look at the don't be too emotional page. So you maybe go ahead a little bit, depending on your book. And people want to get their money out. So let's look at these things. Where can I find growth in retirement? And by the way, this is a slideshow you guys are gonna have access to, so you can take it to the field and close deals.
Okay, sweet.
Just like we show different policies and we draw them out, we're gonna just kind of PowerPoint. So you can go and say, here's an example of something we sell. If you know someone that would like to buy this, I would love to talk to them. By the way, what I'm gonna show you can't be sold through a securities licensed person. You can't buy it from a broker dealer. You gotta buy it from someone who's licensed with insurance and risk management, not investments, right? So where do I find growth in retirement? Average returns may not be your returns. This is a hypothetical example. Someone has saved $500,000. By the way, this type of scale is called a logarithmic scale where it goes out by zeros, kind of like an index chart. And if you got 5.45% return on your portfolio and you withdrew 60 grand a year or 5% a year, index to inflation, your money wouldn't go down much. Then when you get older, you'd run out of money 98. After that, you live on the government benefit, you're okay. That looks good, correct?
Yeah.
A Monte Carlo report is where we start the average returns in every different month. And we show you, let's say we go back 100 years, we have 1,200 start dates. And the date you start retiring and the date you finish retirement changes because you want to retire when the market's going up. If you retire when the market's going down, remember dollar cost averaging problems?
Yeah.
This is the true story right here. Monte Carlo simulation can show actual experiences at different times. This is the average consumer, depending on their age when they retired. some demographics do better than others. You can see some people will run out of money before they turn 80 because they started their retirement in 2007, right?
So funny.
I like the empathy. It's good.
I like how you.
I'm gonna add that to my empathy tools.
Yeah, I love how you just.
But a third, by the way, a third of people do very well. A third of people run out of money, and a third of people, the example you showed works. And so in financial services, I think we need to do better educating the consumer of what is risk. And so you see things like the FIRE community say, we're just gonna buy the index and no third party.
So what's the difference between the person that ran out of money at 80 and then the ones that ran out later? They just took it out later?
They retired in a good market or a bad market.
Okay, so this is just showing the good market and the bad market.
Every market you could have invested in over the last 100 years.
Okay.
So if you retired in the 80s, you did very good. Hey, good to see you. If you retired in the 80s, you did good. If you retired in 2000, you did terrible because you had
Yeah.
the dot-com crash, followed by 2008, followed by 10 good years, but you didn't recover from the worst 10 years. So if you invested from 2000 to 2010, you made no money.
Right.
But 2010 to 2020, you made a lot of money.
But when they were living in those years, they wouldn't have known when to, say, pull the trigger on their retirement, right?
An adult has to be responsible for their own decisions.
But you're right though, because a lot of people think that they can retire at 55 and claim everything and not get penalized. They don't understand that there's a penalty.
If an adult doesn't know the rules, it's their fault.
Mhm. The information's out there.
Yes, that's their fault. You know, it's their responsibility anyways, whether it's someone else's fault or not. So I added some words to memorize, but maybe not show the client. What are your thoughts on this? Is that shown quite often, that this is your potential return?
No.
No,
I've never seen this. This is really
no, I
intriguing.
really like it.
It looks sweet.
I have an app on my phone.
Is it an Apple product only?
It's called Retirement Simulator. And what I can do is I can calculate complex, simple situations, or I can do a simple situation of you got 200 grand and you got 12, you're going to spend, so you got 2 million, and you're going to spend 10 grand a month. Can 2 million support 10 grand a month?
I don't know.
Do you want us to answer?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah, 2
gonna,
million for 10 grand a month.
Mhm.
I don't
I'm gonna say
think
no.
it should be.
For how long? No.
30 years, we get to put that in too.
Then no.
Because 10 grand a month is 6% of 2 million, correct?
Mhm.
120 grand of 2 million. So if the 2 million grows by 6%, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the average market at historically 6.8. Remember that?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Average market did 6.8. I'm going to draw 6. I'm going to do it for 30 years. And I can choose whether I want to do 100% bonds, 100% stock, or 50-50.
Oh, you showed me that.
So if I do 100% stock and I calculate it, there's a 68% chance of success.
That's pretty good.
If I do 100%, if I do 100% bonds, there is an 8.2% chance of success.
Wow.
Success being.
You run out of money or don't run out of money.
So the higher the percentage, the more money you're lasting.
So if someone wants to do fixed income only, there's an 8% chance they'll make it. They got to have fixed income rates. They got to retire
Big.
like in 2023 when rates are going up, not in 2002 when rates go down. But then I can say, well, I can look at this thing and I can check out and say, well, at 50-50, there's a 50% chance they'll retire. So maybe they don't need to be 100% in the stock market, maybe just 50% in the stock market, and their chance to retire goes up dramatically.
Mm.
And if we use sequence of return risk, and we add different buckets of withdrawal allocation, we can get this number better. But I can test out what percentage of the portfolio will be running out of money or making money. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Let me read this and maybe it understands. I didn't know how to make it a picture. Typically, investors will consult historical average returns and then project those averages out in a linear manner for 20 years or more. If you don't understand something, just say stop, because we're gonna go in sequence. Provided they can stick to their plan and look past any short-term volatility, there will be plenty of time to correct mistakes and overcome any market downturns, arriving at retirement with the savings they need. That's during the savings portion.
Right.
Retirees, however, cannot afford to rely on the luxury of long-term results, relying on a linear projection of average returns. By the way, this is one of the reasons I cringe at UL. It's all linear. Linear projection of average returns can create a misleading sense of security about a portfolio's chances of success. The real world of markets and investments is much more variable and unpredictable. The investment statement is the market can be wrong longer than you can be solvent.
Mm.
So if you borrow money to invest, you could get crushed. Another good saying about the market is the market, unlike God, does not forgive you when you're wrong. It takes your money, right? In retirement planning, that won't help you when you're in the middle of a section that's 12 feet to the bottom. In retirement planning, relying on long-term averages may be a bit like deciding to wade across a river based on the average depth. The average may be 4 feet, but that won't help you when you're in the middle of a section that's 12 feet to the bottom. An alternative approach to planning uses Monte Carlo simulations, probability pattern generators that show the full range of possible results for a given portfolio. It's a precursor to AI. Instead of a single answer based on historical average returns, such as you can draw down 6% of your portfolio per year, a Monte Carlo simulation will examine hundreds of possible future outcomes for a portfolio based on past market actions or even hypothetical events that range beyond past experience and show the probabilities of reaching a specific goal. You guys with me? These two ways of assessing a portfolio produce dramatically different results. For example, in Exhibit 14, we see a hypothetical illustration of a portfolio's performance over 30 years based on 5% inflation adjusted withdrawal rate, assuming that historical average returns of 5.45 occur smoothly. That's what I just showed you. The implication is that this portfolio will likely deliver a reliable income stream over that period. And it might, in fact, return even more. But running the same portfolio with the same withdrawal rate through a Monte Carlo simulation tells us a dramatically different story. As demonstrated in Exhibit 15, because the simulation uses hundreds of possible historical returns for the portfolio, it shows a very wide range of possible outcomes. More importantly, it shows that in real market conditions, this portfolio, which looked rock solid based on projecting past averages into the future, actually only has a 66% chance of delivering income for 25 years. So if you have 3 clients, one of them hates you. That's what 66 means. And so we can't fail people. So that's not a good number.
Right.
If you have 100 clients,
44 need you.
they'll say, yeah, a lot of them hate you.
34.
Those ones that fail are going to tell the other ones. So here, and you have a 46% chance of delivering an income to age 95. So if you're working with married couples, one of them might live to 95. Perhaps more troubling, it also has a significant chance of failing in less than 20 years. A possibility that projection based on averages completely masks. True? While it does not provide any specific investment solutions, no solution given, working with Monte Carlo simulations gives retirees a much more realistic understanding of their financial situation and underlies their need for financial planning and flexibility, given even in retirement.
Awesome.
This is the theory behind averages, the small fine print that we put on here.
Hmm.
What are your guys' comments so far?
It's been really helpful. I really like it.
Does the average consumer understand any of this?
No.
No,
You would have lost the average consumer after the first sentence, my
But
friend.
you guys are average consumers too.
Yeah. But
We're licensed average consumer.
We are-
Well, a license don't make no difference. I never met someone whose license made a difference. In
This
fact,
is true.
This is true.
This
No,
is
no,
true.
pun- no intention.
in fact,
Open book.
when we look at studies, those who have studied for less than a decade become less intelligent
Because I think they know everything.
because they think they know things.
Right,
Just like if I'm a painter and I paint this office, I think I'm a pro.
it's true. I did, and I am.
That's true.
Then
She painted
everything-
that. So let's go look at this. This is the blind spots. You have to take the risk of the money not growing. Remember that question?
Mhm,
Dollar cost averaging works against you in retirement.
mhm,
Volatility is bad in retirement.
mhm.
Now, if you're not emotionally strong enough to handle volatility, it limits your options in your future.
Mhm.
By the way, we have products that have no volatility, just so you know. Investor A enters the market on January 1st, 1998. Right here.
Mhm.
7 months later, on August 1st, 1998. Sorry, Mr. B enters 7 months later on August 1st, 1998. What happened in 1998?
Russian
Russian-
financial.
Russian
crisis.
financial.
You guys know
crisis.
because you read. So what happened was, do you know the currencies? Most currencies are not that old. Do you know what the two oldest currencies are?
Isn't it England and
United
China?
States and the pound.
Yeah.
Most currencies do fail. And so the government of Russia said our currency is no longer valid, and we are going to peg a bottle of vodka to $100. So you can still trade. So if you need bread, you bring your vodka to the store. They have goods, you have vodka. And they said the ruble was rubble. So they said, here's my vodka, give me 50 loaves of bread. So they buy 50 loaves of bread. And then the store owner would take that vodka to the doctor and say, I have a toothache. It's $500, here's 5 bottles of vodka. Then the dentist would take that vodka and they use vodka for about 6 months as their currency. Because they had no currency. Because they went bankrupt.
Wow.
And then the Russian government said, you know, all these stock holding companies, they're ours now. So if you own public companies in Russia, the government took them over and said the state owns them. And then they said, now we'll refinance and make new currency because we have these companies that produce money and sell things internationally. They bring in US dollars and we'll make a new currency. And that's what they did. Oh, it's hanging on the door right at the entrance of the door.
The men's
Yeah.
washroom is also open, and it's the same thing.
Yeah. So that's what happened right here. So if you invested right before that crisis, by
Unfortunately.
the way, that crisis recovered. That's how the market works. It typically recovers. But if you put your money in and it grew and then went down, or you put it in the D, you put it in and it went down. Very subtle difference, correct?
Mhm.
But the difference of getting in early is they got $1 million and they're pulling out 6%. And $1 million pulls out 6%. This guy runs out of money in year 14. This guy, after 20 years, does not run out of money.
That's rough.
I thought it didn't go right to 0.
This example does.
Oh, okay, so,
Oh, they're drawing money out.
oh, I see.
This is not the performance of the market.
Okay.
They're drawing the money out.
Oh, I see.
So here, investor A withdraws 840,000. So if you withdraw 840,000 out of a $900,000 account,
Yeah.
the market only dropped 6%, right?
Yeah.
On average. over 14 years. So it actually did like close to zero.
Mhm,
So you never lost. The market didn't take their money. They spent their money.
mhm. Okay,
You know what would have been a cool thing? Instead of drawing money out in the early years, they could have drawn money from cash value in a whole life or home equity
mhm.
or cash in their bank.
So they put $1 million into this account and this is how it performed. Is that what you're?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
And then they also were drawing from it at the same time.
investor B withdrawed way more than investor A, so is that also what affected that line?
No,
So they're
investor B
effectively the
draws
same.
1.2 million, with a balance of 400 grand. So they're at 1.6 total drawn. They're at 840 total drawn. Dollar cost averaging and volatility is not a good thing for retirees. That makes sense.
I think the last two sentences are swapped. That's why it's confusing. And it's supposed to be investor B withdraws 840.
Oh, yeah, it
And
is.
investor A.
Because to me, it looks like
withdraws-
investor B took out too much money and that's why their orange line.
He also-
No.
He also put it in when the market dropped, not when the market was going up.
And
Yeah, investor A and B should be swapped.
In the
Okay,
last
that threw
sentence.
me off.
In the last sentence, right?
In the last two sentences, yeah.
Investor A withdraws 1.2 million over 20 years, 60 grand times 20 years, and then finishes off with a balance over. Investor A, we're gonna switch A and B. Yeah.
what is dollar cost averaging exactly?
It's when you're investing in a volatile market, when the market goes down, you continue to buy. So you're buying more shares when the market goes down. Here, you're selling more shares than
It's
them.
like you're on sale,
So
Oh, okay,
but you don't want to withdraw when they're on sale.
yeah.
let's keep going. It's in our book and workshops, but it's a good question. Does that make sense? Does that help? Is it gonna? How much money do I need to save? Percentage of employees covered by a registered pension plan. In 1992, 45% of employees had a registered pension plan. When you go into the marketplace, they don't have a pension. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Mhm.
But this also explains why our parents are always like pushing us to get good jobs with pensions.
Mhm.
It's good advice.
That's what they draw.
Extremely good advice.
It's extremely good advice if you have one.
If my son was gonna be a
Government.
slave, I'd want him to be paid his whole life, not just till he stopped slaving. Right? Some masters are better than others. But when I look at this, ultimately, Canadians will have to rely more and more on themselves when planning for retirement.
Mhm.
Above and beyond their government pensions.
Yeah.
True?
Mhm.
So if you don't have a pension,
I'm kind of surprised it's still as high as 38%, to be honest.
oh, this was,
Government, any government employee has a pension.
That's true.
A doctor, a nurse, or you work for the
Yes.
government. That's the only
So-
place.
do I have to lock my money up? Most growth investments are liquid, but most guaranteed investments are locked in.
Mm.
So here's the problem with giving you liquid investments that grow. If I'm in a balanced portfolio in 08 and the market goes down, you could stay in a balanced portfolio, but a balanced portfolio, in most cases, if it's in a mutual fund or segment, has to be liquid every business day. They give you your offer, hey, you could sell it at this price at 3:30 PM Winnipeg time, every business day. Not on Christmas Day, not on New Year's Day, but every business day you could sell this thing. So because it's liquid, if you get scared, you could leave. Then you could go to 100% bonds. And that's what people do when the market goes down. I've had a few idiots text me recently and say, I want to get my money out of the market and put it in cash. And I said, it's wonderful, as long as you take it all. So they're not my client anymore, right? But,
Yeah.
right?
Fire them.
But remaining invested is difficult in a down market.
Mhm.
And if I could show someone how to remain invested in a down market, it would help.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the key is to keep it in there.
The key is to keep it in,
Hold.
but I could give them reasons other than just faith.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So do you think it's never a good idea to do that?
Well,
Almost never.
Well, yeah, every situation is different, but I've been tightening my budget and putting more money in the market this year
when it
and
is
buying
low.
and buying aggressively. Mhm. I was gonna buy a new car. I decided not to. I'd rather that money in the market. I'd rather fix my car and not buy a new car. So me personally, I think owning assets is what rich people do, and not owning assets is what poor people do. And the risk of owning no assets is far greater than the risk of owning assets. Because the ultimate risk of owning an asset is you lose some money and you go back to poverty. But the risk of staying poor is you become bitter.
I'm more.
And
Yeah.
Did you know there's a story in scripture where God promises that he says, if you think you're poor, we can make you even more poor.
Please.
He says,
It's
if
okay.
you have nothing and you don't perform, then I will smash your teeth out and you'll have less than nothing.
I believe you. It's okay.
What do you mean?
That's what he
I
said.
believe you. It's okay.
Yeah. He didn't say smash.
Right.
He said he would gnash your teeth out.
Nash.
I don't even know what gnashing means, but it sounds nasty.
It's
Right?
I think it's the act of like
Pulling them.
grinding as well as.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't need a visual.
If
Is
you
it-
listen
Putting
to
your
the
face on-
podcast.
Mouth on a curtain, someone take
So-
it back to you.
Let me show you an example. By the way, whenever you show a product, you must show problem, then product. Never show product first. Because there's three things you have to convey to the client: the cost, the price, and the value. In New Orleans, they were going to build a dam and a dike to stop from flooding. And they said the cost of this thing is $100 million
Sorry, you said cost, the value,
and the price.
And the price.
The price is what they pay. The cost is what they will pay if they don't pay.
Mm.
So in New Orleans, they had a value. They had to build a dike to stop from flooding. Every 100 years they flood. So they said, let's build a dike. This thing's going to cost $100 million, and it will protect us. And the most floods happen due to corruption. That's what the old book tells us. Corrupt people get flooded out. And so and here's a situation in New Orleans where they, instead of spending $100 million on a dike, they spent $20 million.
Oh no. Oh, and that's when Katrina happened.
Yeah, around
I remember
2009.
that.
And then Katrina comes in,
They were like,
and I don't know the exact dollar amounts, but I know that they didn't build it properly. So let's say they spend 20 million instead of 100 million, or 2 billion instead of 10 billion. And so they spend 20 million instead of 100. That's the price they paid.
Right.
But then they had like 5 billion in damages.
Mhm.
And New
That was
Orleans
the
isn't
cost.
the same before and after, because I was there before and I was there after, and it's a totally
It
different
is a
city.
dump.
Haven't
I
bounced
would-
back, eh?
It has not bounced, it can't.
I've been there
It
twice.
costs too much to bounce
It
back. eh?
completely
Before and
got
after?
destroyed.
I was
I've been there-
before.
I've been there
It was
twice.
beautiful.
Once with my wife, and then my wife said, I will never go back. It is as corrupt as Las Vegas, but it's dumpy and
Very
bankruptcy.
dumpy.
The city doesn't even pick up garbage. So they just let the puke pile up. It is a dump.
And it used to be beautiful.
And on Bourbon Street, you know how you see the Bourbon Street, all the second floors are all like the party floors?
Mhm.
Because the first floors all got dumped out and no one repaired them.
Mm,
Oh, that's why.
It is a dump.
that's rough. So there
Yeah,
goes that
but-
on my bucket list.
So if I would have explained, hey,
Nice.
there's gonna be cost of 5 billion if you don't have the insurance.
Hmm.
You could spend 100 million and not pay the 5 billion, or you could spend 20 million but still pay the 5 billion. And then you say, but if you did the 20 million, you could put a lot of money in your own pockets. So that's what the politicians did. They spent 100 million. They just didn't spend it on the dike. But
Ugh.
so the city got wrecked, right? That's how not a lot of cities last a long time. So check this out. I'm going to show you a product called a variable annuity. It's also referred to as a guaranteed life withdrawal benefit, GLWB. It's a hybrid product of an annuity, which you lock in, a mutual fund, which has market risk, a GIC that is guaranteed, and a bank account that is liquid.
That's kind of cool.
So you can put 80% exposure to the equity market. You can do 80% in the equity market, 20% in bonds. You get to choose your equity exposure. They'll guarantee 4% every year. So they say you get 4% or the market. If the market does 20, you get 20. If the market does minus 20, you get 4.
I see.
If the market does 7, you get 7. If the market does minus 7, you get 4. So it's like getting into a car with an airbag or a seatbelt. And wouldn't you want your investments to have airbags and seatbelts? That makes sense, correct? 4% is the guarantee. By the way, the older you are, the bigger the guarantee. And you get income for life, even if you run out of funds.
Explain.
So most fees are paid for an investment firm to manage risk. I prefer to pay fees for the investment firm to take the risk.
Oh, it's locked.
Unlock it too. So Empire, they were the first firm in Canada to create a segregated fund. And then after everyone else created it, you'll unlock it for the next thing. So after everyone else created segregated funds that had a principal guarantee, they say, well, we don't want a principal guarantee anymore. We want an income guarantee. So let's say you draw your money out of this fund and you run it up, the market doesn't perform. All these examples come true. You're one of the 30% losers. You know, could be the millennials, could be the baby boomers, but it'll be one of the generations,
Yeah.
you know, they'll be your buddies the same ages. Yep.
Do you feel like 1 in 3 of like your investment clients, they don't do well?
Well, everyone's done well so far. I think we use good portfolio managers and not randomness, and no, I think we'll all do well.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we'll all do well. But you can get income for life if you run out of funds. So the value of a pension is that it pays you till you die. That make sense? So if you knew you were going to get paid till you die, life is better. Correct?
Yeah.
But if you knew you were going to get paid till you run out of funds, you're very nervous about spending money. So the Scrooge you were to save the money, you can't turn the Scrooge off to start spending the money. Make sense? Being a Scrooge is a skill. And by the way, you can exit or walk away at any time. If you die, your beneficiary inherits the market value of the account when you pass away.
As in it keeps going, or they get one lump sum?
They get a lump sum, but you can choose the annuitant, which means I can index this to my wife's life instead of mine. And then she'll have income her whole life, but I will not. But you can have one annuitant, or you could do a joint annuitant too.
And how's that work?
Last till we both die.
Oh, I see. Okay, like join two.
You can do a horse point like a successor annuitant, so someone can be a successor and take over the account. By the way, this is who it's not for. So if you want zero fluctuations in your market value, all pensions have 2 accounts. If you have a pension through HEB, they say you're going to get $2,000 a month. That's one number. Then they also have the pension fund, which goes up and down. Make sense? And then they'll calculate on your HEB account, this pension has a 75% success ratio, which means the 25% of people that live the longest, HEB's going to go bankrupt. Did you see that ratio in your pension numbers?
No.
It's there. Every pension has to have it and report it. It's called CAPA.
Is that the one that I sent you?
Yeah, look at the percentage number, success percentage. It'll tell you. So if you're very healthy, they might not be as secure as you think. So all pensions have market value. They have market value and what you get every month. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Because there's a fund your money comes from. They don't print the money. It comes from somewhere.
Yeah.
So the pension fluctuates, but they never disclose that to you unless you go search for it. But pensions have like CPP, Canada Pension Plan, has like 500 billion in it. That money goes up and down. But your CPP payment doesn't go up and down, right, Ruth?
Right,
So,
to get a raise.
but there is the fluctuation in the CPP.
Makes sense.
If you say, I never want a negative return, I never want to see a negative statement, it's not for you.
Sorry, I have.
Okay, I'm lost.
Can I see?
Yeah, just
Yeah. So I got a head here.
Like on the estimator I sent you, is that what you're talking about? Or on,
This doesn't have it.
does it show it on the estimator that I
That's the
sent you?
statement.
The Pension Benefits Act of Manitoba requires that plan actuaries conduct periodic valuations. One type of valuation is performed by a solvency valuation, which assumes the plan will terminate at the valuation date. Based on the last actuary valuation as of December 31st, 2019, the pension plan solvency ratio was 77.5. A solvency ratio less than 100 means that assets will not be sufficient to cover liabilities accrued in respect of benefits promised and determined on plan determination basis. Pensions and other benefits could be reduced if the plan solvency liabilities exist, its assets, and the plan actually stops operating. However, it's unlikely the plan would terminate, as all of the healthcare employees that participate in HEP would have to cease operating at that time because new money's coming in. So it's not you that's going to suffer, but it's the new money coming in that's going to lose. So the Board of Trustees has a fiduciary responsibility and duty to monitor the ongoing sustainability of the funding of the plan. Thank you, Dave. But you're pulling money from the reserve. There's not a reserve against your money. So by the way, if you want zero fluctuations, not for you. You don't want to, by the way, growth includes the market.
But does this, like, if someone, for example, if a client says, okay, where can I find zero fluctuation?
Go to the bank, put your money in the bank account.
But it's like,
It
Cash.
doesn't grow, it's just cash.
This is what you want, that's what it is.
Yeah.
This is not, yeah, it's like medication. Every time you take a piece of medicine, you like, if you have a really good medication, you poop your pants. Because of side effect. So one comes with the other. Does that make sense? They put it on the bottle, you might have a heart attack, you might have this.
I like that example, I'm gonna use that.
There's nothing.
It's like a
It's
medical
true.
bill.
yeah, the strong meds
It-
will
it's
help.
true, though.
but
I know it is.
You know, or the really good medication, you don't poop. With no more.
Well, there might be some bad ones
Right.
where you still do.
Yeah,
Maybe
or you don't poop at all. You don't poop for a week.
You don't poop, but now you can't hear.
Then you have to go on
So-
another.
So by the way,
On another
You lost all your
medication.
friends.
the growth comes with market exposure. We're putting this money in the market.
Oh, man.
Or you don't want to understand the complexities of how the program works. You want to say, just show me what I'm going to do. I don't want to understand. I never want to review. I don't want to learn. Just take care of it. This plan's not for you. I don't want to work with you. So when you look at safety, it comes with complexity. What is safe and what is not safe? Right? Money you plan on drawing to zero early in retirement.
Someone sent a chat. I think someone might have a question.
Oh,
Oh.
am I not sharing my screen?
No,
No,
you were
I'm
holding
sorry.
a paper you were reading, remember?
Oh, I'm reading a HEB account. I can't show you. It's a HEB,
Personal.
it's a pension account. Maybe he'll make a scan of it. We'll send it to the group chat. But by the way, we don't sell based on scaring people. So if you start with that, they're gonna get scared and want you out of the office, so they'll buy to get rid of you, and that's how you sell like a 10-year term. Well, don't do that. Don't scare them. I want to teach them a little bit. If you're scared, just wait a little bit. So by the way, I got a client who's got a 200 grand. She's 55. She's gonna draw 20 grand a year until she's out of money. And so she's gonna be out of money in like 6-7 years. But then she's thinking, well, then I'll wait. I'm going to travel for 6 or 7 years on that 20 grand. Then I'm going to live on my pensions. And so her pensions are like 4 grand a month. So she's going to live on 50 grand a year. Sorry, 70 grand a year for the next 7 years. And then she's going to go down to 50. So a plan like this doesn't work because all her investments, she's going to draw zero because income for life, you must have a budget.
Yeah.
You can't be spending 30% of your money and expect someone to pay you that for your lifetime. So if you say I'm gonna retire 1 year early and I got 50 grand saved, I'm gonna spend the 50 grand, it's not for you. Or you get access to your money, but listen, if you have other sources of money to draw on in a change of situation, then this should say you don't have other sources. If you don't have a pension from the government, you don't have CPP, your cash in your bank is zero, you're brokey, and you want to put 30 grand into a program like this, it's not going to help too much.
No.
It has to be a retirement style of money. That makes sense? So it's not for everybody.
Wait, let me take a picture.
I'll send you this whole slideshow.
Can you just remind me what GLWB stands for?
Yeah, guaranteed life withdrawal benefit. So, any questions so far?
So this is one lump sum, correct?
Pardon?
This is one lump sum that you put in?
I'm gonna show you. So, let me see if I can show you. Only a host can. You guys got a few more minutes?
Yeah.
Can you see how curiosity works?
Mhm.
That if you don't build curiosity, people don't want to see your product. Make sense?
Force feeding.
I say, we have a solution. Would you like to see it?
It doesn't work, of course, we,
No.
even on cable it doesn't work. It's true, never mind in the phone.
So here's a program that some marketing guy called Class 3.0. They should have called it Class 4.0, but it's a third version of the class. That's not the percentage rate. And
I'm like, am I the only one who got it?
I didn't get it. It went over my head.
Now, didn't it originally have 3%?
no. So here's some highlights. Here's the example. You're going to be investing, and we're going to show you two rates of return. We're going to show you an average rate of return of 7% moving forward. If the market does the average, it could do better than average, but we're not going to show you that. It's too exciting to show the public, so we don't show. And I'm going to show you another one where you lose 2% every year. So in 10 years, you lost 20%. In 20 years, you lost 40%. In 30 years, you lost 60%. Every year, you lose money.
So can you buy this product if you're not like close to retirement?
So here,
Because then it grows, right? So
let me show you. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show an example. This client is 51 years old, and they're going to initially deposit $250,000 that they previously saved. That makes sense? We find 50-year-olds who have saved for retirement. They're in the asset accumulation phase, not the distribution phase, which they need to prepare for.
Right, right.
We need to build up what's called notional bonuses. So here, we're also going to add 20 grand a year to the program. If a husband makes 70 grand and a wife makes 70 grand, that's 140 grand. They have to save some of that money. Make sense? If their finances are in control, this type of savings is not a big deal. We're also going to change their deposits by 5% each year. So if they make 140 grand and they deposit 20 grand, the next year they're going to make 141 and deposit 21 grand. So we're going to increase their deposits by 5% each year. And in our financial calculators, I use Mark Money. On a Mark Money, they call that some funny name. They call that dynamic. So 5% dynamic means your savings plan increases every month. Make sense? So client says, I could save 20 grand, 1,500 a month into RSP. You're going to get the deduction on that too. So now his income goes down because he gets a deduction. It's close to the RSP limit. You're with me?
So this counts as an RRSP?
You can buy it as an RSP, which we'd recommend you do.
Okay.
So let me explain every column. Year is today. You with me?
Mhm.
Age at the end of the year is whatever you were at the end of the year. You're with me?
Mhm.
Market return gross is after your fees and everything, what you get back.
Mhm.
Make sense?
Mhm.
The truth is, we don't know this one. We're guessing. I'll show you a loser after this average one. Here's your deposits. 20 grand, 21, 22, 23, it goes up every year.
5%.
Because you're making more money.
Mhm.
60-year-olds save more than 50. Now, how much you withdraw from this thing? Your anniversary date today and the end of your balance. Make sense? This is all like a mutual fund, purely on a statement. Now, when we move into pension territory, there's two accounts: the income calculation account and the market value, the pension account. Make sense? This is the pension numbers. We calculate your income. By the way, there's a fee. It's close to 1%. 1% is not a big deal for a fee, right? You always get what they get, right? The cost versus price. So here, this is the bonus base, and they are going to get a 4% bonus every year on their market value. You with me?
Mhm.
So we guarantee a growth of 10 grand on a $250,000. Every 3 years, they look at this one here. So you have 280. This is the guaranteed rates. Every 3 years, what they do is they compare the market value with this value, and they take over this market value. That's how that works. The end of year balances change because it looks like this. The illustration makes it as confusing as they can. 390 becomes guaranteed, plus the bonus of 13,000 equals 400 grand.
Oh,
Thank you so much. for
That makes
that.
more
That-
sense.
Thank you. I'm like, eh.
Right? So that's why you're like, wait a minute. By the way, this is anniversary date.
I thought it's every 10 years or 15.
So we reset this every 3 years, which means if the market goes down, 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 you just get your bonus of 4%. But if the market goes up 20, then down 40, then up 20 again and breaks even, you still get your 4%. You don't lock in the gains. You only lock in the gains every 1,000 days, not every 365 days. So you're locking in. At this point, your retirement's based on 400 grand. 3 years later, it's based on 550. 3 years later, it's based on here. Now we base it on $1 million at age 63 and 1.2 million, which is your market value at age 65. We can ask them to save because we're putting their money in a safe place.
Mhm.
So they're going to get either the market value, which is this rate of return, or it never drops below that income base. So you have a compounding return. It's not 4% of your original deposit, it's 4% of the triannual compounding.
So it's like the 1.2 takes the place of your 270 that you started with.
Yeah, plus all your additions. Yeah.
Okay.
And so the columns, oh yeah, there's a few more columns. How much you pull out, how much you deposit, a percentage of your total deposit, and the guaranteed death benefit, which is 75% of your deposit. So 75% guaranteed, like I say. It's required by law to have some kind of guarantee on the way out. And so, well, you got market value or 75%. So they believe that if the market goes down, it will recover within 3 years. So that's why they say every 3 years we'll give you a reset. This way, if the market goes down, you're comfortable staying in it because you want your income-based bonus. And you'll never lose money. Now, this client here, by the way, this situation, the government says you have a maximum, you get 4%, or your lift minimum. So the lift minimum is always above 4. That's why it's purple, and you get a lot more than 4, because in an RRSP, you have to draw 6+% every year.
When you turn 71.
When you turn 71.
Oh, I see.
So here,
Oh, yeah, I see it.
Oh, you could convert to a LIF anytime. You don't have to wait till 71.
Right here,
The LIF has a minimum at age 55. But you're
Yeah,
forced to
but-
convert a RSP to a LIF at age 71.
At 71, you're forced to take it. At
Yeah.
55, you're not forced to take it.
Mhm.
We want to draw right away. We want the forced because it gets above 4. So the this client is going to draw out 49,000, knowing he'll never run out of money. The next year, if the market does 7, when he is in his 80s, he'll be drawing 80 grand a year to 100 grand a year, and he'll get a raise every year as the market performs.
That's fucking sick.
Now, I could illustrate this in a mutual fund, but I cannot use the G word, guarantee.
Mm.
I cannot use the word pension. I cannot use the word, this is what rich people do. I cannot say that kind of stuff. But you can never say this is what rich people do. By the way, that's in our, you're not allowed. But here, you get a bonus base that your 270 grows, and you get a bonus based on that. But your income base, which is they're going to draw your income from, starts off at 1.2 million and basically retains there forever. It'll never go down, but it might go up. If the market goes up, you get more money. If the market goes down, if the market sucked at age 66 and never recovered, he'd be stuck at 49 plus guarantee minimums. Never go down. Make sense?
That's still pretty good. That's pretty good.
And so he's comfortable putting money in. If this client lives till age 100, this thing will have paid him $3 million, and he would have deposited 681.
What the hell?
That's pretty sick.
It's pretty slick. We're going to move and sell lots of this.
Okay,
So this is what the US sells. 90% of their investments go into variable annuities. This is a variable annuity.
Okay.
So when you see variable annuity, income based, this, that's what it is.
Mm.
It's a variable annuity. So here, this is good, correct? So I can go and I can summarize this in 4 boxes. In fact, the illustration does it for me. They say, you're guaranteed the blue, but the government lift minimum requires you to take out more than the minimum, which doesn't affect your long-term guarantees. So if the market performs, the government forces you to take out more. Well, at age 90, you got to take out 20% of your funds. If you do that, you're going to deplete your funds, and 20% of your funds is going to drop a bit. But you're going to deposit 681. They're going to give you a guaranteed growth of 272, 4% over some time till you're 65. You can start drawing, I think, as early as 55 or 60, maybe a little later. You can read the contract. Income base is 1.1 million at age 66. You get a locked-in annual 46,000. Guaranteed. Sounds good?
Mhm.
This is not sold through a bank. It also does not need to be monitored on a regular basis, because does the client take the risk or does the investment company take the risk? The investment company takes the risk. So let me show you another example. This is an example where you're going to lose 2% every year. Now, we don't expect a negative 20. It doesn't go negative 20 every year in a row. It's a slow meltdown usually of like good year, bad year, and the average sucked. Make sense?
Yeah.
Remember I showed you the 20-year average, or is like -2.
Mhm.
So if you end up retiring in that type of period, you deposit the same amount of money, 270. Now you're dollar cost averaging into this thing, but there's no recovery. So dollar cost averaging doesn't work, only works after the recovery.
Mhm.
Make sense?
Mhm.
So now your market value starts at 261, and you end up getting to retirement at 473. So the average of 2 could be you save for 14 years, then we have a recession in year 14, and you deposited a total of 681, but you're down 20% of what you deposited. 681 turns into 473. It is unlikely, but the probability is not 0. You with me?
Mhm.
So here's what it looks like. By the way, you have a income bonus of 10 grand. And your income base starts at 280. It ends up just shy of $1 million. If we have the worst market ever, and you never get above 4 for a 3-year period on average, you'll never get an increase on reset. So you'll get stuck at a 4% forever. Make sense? So then at $9 million or just under $1 million, this client's going to get 38 grand. Because it was 38 grand is less than the minimum required, it's actually 10% of his market value. We're going to guarantee he can draw 10% of his market value for his lifetime. As we can see here, the 10% of the market value based for his lifetime.
The 10%.
38 grand of 400 grand.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So 10%.
Alright.
Now, one of the problems is that people don't like paying fees. You don't pay a fee on your money. You pay a fee on the money that's in the reserve that has your name on it. So 400 grand is going to pay a fee of 10 grand. And some idiot advisor is going to approach you and say, you should cancel this plan because it's too expensive. Because the price you pay is more than the cost you're going to pay and the value is not there. But the 10% fee or the $10,000 a year fee
That's not soft though, look.
is based on your income base bonus. It drops off because there's no more money to take the fee from.
What do you mean?
Well, here, remember that example of this is your market value. This client at age 75 years old will run out of money. Market value is 0. If they were in a mutual fund, they fail.
Can you tell me what the column is? Is that what his reserve? Like, is that his money?
Which column are you looking at?
The one that's a 0. The one that you just circled.
Yeah, this is market value. This is the market value at the end of the year.
Well, why does it go down to 0?
Because it's a negative 2%.
So here's what happens. You're going to get a statement. It's going to say 473,000, right? You're going to draw 38,000
Yeah.
and you're not depositing any more money. And you're losing money every year in the stock market.
Oh, I see.
So you're still losing money. We don't know what the future is. This is the worst case scenario.
Got it.
So when we're selling an insurance, worst case scenario is nice. We don't even need to show best case scenario. So here, if you invest with me in the next 20 years is the worst case. Well, you're going to draw 38 grand a year out.
Right. I see where it is now. I get it.
All your friends will be able to draw an average of nothing out because they're losing money. So here, they will draw that out until they die. So they started to retire with 473,000, right? But during their retirement, they drew out $1 million more than they had.
Interesting.
That's why you have to pay a fee. Empire says it's very unlikely we're going to lose your client's money. In fact, we'll guarantee we won't. We'll take 100% of the risk as long as they stay with us. Now, if they walk away, we let them walk away at any time, especially in a down market. They want you to walk away. If the market goes down 50% and you want to go, they're like, get out of here. They want new money. Does that make sense? So the investment firm will take the risk. And I can see here, your income base goes from 280 to 954, and you get a guaranteed income of 38,000 that never drops, which is 5.6% of all the money you've deposited, guaranteed for life.
Okay.
And then if you die, your family gets nothing if you die after age 75 because you ran out of money. Now, when you run out of money, you don't run out of income. We're not insuring your life, we're insuring your income.
Got it.
Nice.
Okay.
We're not insuring your investments, we're insuring your income.
We could have probably a separate life insurance policy on top of this,
We
right?
should.
Hopefully people buy lots of financial services products.
Yeah.
So here, they deposit 681. They get a guaranteed income-based bonus, so their income at 66 is based on 954. They can wait till age 70 to start withdrawing too. They get a guaranteed income of 38,000. They cannot do that in an annuity. They cannot do that at a bank. They cannot do that in a mutual fund.
The death benefit is just what's left over in your account.
75% of the market value. Or your market value. You get one or the other. Yeah. So you either get market value or 75%. So here, there's some notes. There's some fees. So if you, by the way, if you buy everything into a bond fund, your fee is less because there's less risk. But it's almost a guarantee you ain't gonna make it. So this thing works at 80% equity. So I'd rather get 80% equity, pay more fee, because I'm guaranteed. So why not take the risk?
Mm-hmm.
If I had a seatbelt, an airbag, a roll cage, a mouth guard, a helmet, I could drive faster. Right? The more safety gear I have, the faster you can go.
Faster anyway.
I
Yeah,
love it. I love
But
it.
check this out. If you retire at age 65, they guarantee income at 4%. Every 3 years, they reset it if the market's up. So if the market's up at age 75, you're taking 5%. Because they could give you more money as you get older. So that gets reset every year. So you get raises no matter what. And but when I go back to the top and I say highlights, income is guaranteed for your lifetime. You start receiving income as early as 55, but it's reduced based on that scale I just showed you. Starts at 3 or something. You don't want to start early. An annual 4% income-based bonus is only paid for 20 years. So if a 25-year-old buys this, it doesn't perform. Because they want it 45 and up. Does that make sense?
yeah.
They do not want to take the risk of a 25-year-old putting their money in here. Because what if 70 years later, they're paying you money that they never paid?
Right.
So they're willing to take 20 years of risk, which means you need to do it within 20 years of retirement. So I don't sell this to 25-year-olds. Your automatic income resets may bump up your income. You may get a raise, but you'll never get a demotion. Your death benefit guarantee and income-based resets triannually. You can do a non-registered, RSP, TFSA, and RIF. It's a way bigger value in RSP because there's a minimum guarantee they have to push to you, and it doesn't affect your guarantees. Investment options range from fixed income, 80% equities, and lower fees than the only other provider of this is Sun Life. They have a higher fee. You ever see those commercials on Sun Life of Income for Life, they call it?
Yeah.
Income for Life is a better name than Class 3.0.
Yeah.
They beat us on that.
This makes more sense for people who like even do their insurance and they do 20 pay, finish that, and then you're like, okay, we're gonna put your money,
And so,
I like that.
right?
Yeah.
but by the way, when people have a guaranteed income for life, they have to pay a fee. Is it okay to pay a fee if you're avoiding the cost of running out of money? The cost of running out of money generates the ability to pay the fee, not the performance. Now, if we're in equity, the equity performs, it doesn't perform. What are your guys' thoughts on a program like this?
It's amazing.
I love it.
This is amazing.
Ruth, what are your thoughts on this thing?
Yeah, I like it. You just have to make sure that you don't run out of money.
My mind is stirring for our appointment there for next week. And I'm like at the point that the hospital is not going to condone it. I'm gonna go and just put a poster up anyways on the bulletin board.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people inquiring about retirement.
They don't know how this works.
They have no idea. Nobody
No.
knows how this works.
You know, people are medical experts because of YouTube now, but they're not financial experts. Even through the financial crisis, they didn't become financial experts.
It's great having guarantees and you'll get comfort. It's
And-
awesome.
Do you have
just
this?
noticed,
I have a different one.
Oh, okay.
Similar,
It's the same.
same concept.
I just noticed on the example, like the fees did like fluctuate a lot, so like.
It's a
um,
percentage.
Commission.
Percentage of,
So here, we have a fee. By the way, the fee is disclosed right here. Annual fund rate fee is 1.15. And
I can also say that it's great getting, when there was -30 and I was getting 5, I was very happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so here, this fee, it doesn't fluctuate, it goes up. Correct? It doesn't go down.
Because your money's growing, right?
But when you start withdrawing your money out, it starts going down.
okay.
But every 3 years, if the market goes up, you get a new reset. So this thing here, your guarantee goes down, 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 but because the market's up every 3 years, it goes from 1.2 million to 1.252. So every time you get a reset, they're gonna put 1.2 million in reserve for you. Who pays the 1% fee on that money in reserve? You do.
And that makes sense.
There's nothing wrong with a fee.
I think if people are more worried about the fee, they did not see the whole concept. They don't understand the whole concept.
Yeah, we don't buy investments from Kijiji. But does that make sense? It goes up and down, but it's based on your guarantee rates. So now when you're looking at like, this is less, so of course, this is less.
Do you have time to go over how much someone would make with something like this? Like how many points you get for something like this?
Oh, 4% of the deposit. So here,
No.
points is
If
4%.
I sell this to somebody, how much do I get as the advisor?
4% of the deposit is points. So here,
Oh,
check this
okay.
out. 270 times 0.042. Sometimes Empire has a sale where they pay 6%. Just like Equitable has a sale sometimes, but usually 4.2. So it's 11,340 in year one in points times 0.36 is $4,000. So is it worth it spending 160 hours to learn something like this
Yes.
and get a license, 160 hours, a month worth of work to make a month's worth of pay? And it's like the pharmaceutical industry that once you've done it once, the second time, how much time do you have to invest the second time you sell it? 1 hour. Just to make the PowerPoint last night. Then you sell again, another $4,000, another $4,000, another $4,000. Most people won't invest the month worth of work, 160 hours, to say, I could become an expert at selling investments. And I don't want to make promises, I want to make guarantees. I want my investments to have seatbelts and airbags. And I think if someone's going to get into a car that might be dangerous, we should do it on a track. And if I'm going to pay a fee to an investment firm, instead of paying a fee for them to manage the risk, we should pay them to take the risk. And if I have income for life, then I'm using my retirement savings for retirement, not for estate planning. If I live to 100 and I run out of money, is my plan, and the insurance company pays me the difference, then it creates a need for permanent insurance. So I'm not using my insurance for estate planning, or using my retirement savings for estate planning. I'm using my retirement savings to retire, and I'm using my estate plan for estate plan. And getting rich is very complicated, and there is no one way to do it. But
That's great though. I think that's amazing. I don't think that's a bad thing.
right,
That's a very positive thing
But-
because now you have options.
if people don't, and people have to buy things they're going to keep. So if the market goes down, I say it would be stupid to sell. I would say your deposits, by the way, in a down market, we got the loser. We got a winner and a loser, right? So I say we got a loser here. By the way, the internet's going to tell them, don't pay fees. The internet's going to tell them, don't work with an advisor. He doesn't have your interest in mind. By the way, Empire's on the hook if they don't perform. Our interests are aligned. If they suck, they lose. You just don't make. You get what you were promised, no more. So here the market goes down. Let's say 10 years you work with me. In 2033, you have 400 grand in your account, but you started at 270 and you deposited more money than 400 grand. They say, this thing sucked. I say, listen, we're in the market and the market sucked. All your peers suck too. Maybe the government sucked. There's issues. But your income is going to be based on 700 grand. And when it resets, 900 grand if you just maintain the program. So don't sell. And then Empire says the market will recover. Whether you're in the market or not, they don't care.
But this is true though, again, we've seen it through all the illustrations we've seen over time here, the market recovers.
They're betting on the market recovering, and they're betting on maybe you leave when the market goes down, and they're like, thank God that client left. Because now what they got to do is they got to pay you 401. They're not going to give you 650. They're going to pay you your market value. Whatever you want when you leave, you walk away anytime. You walk away with your market value, not your guaranteed value. That's why we call it a notional bonus, not in addition to your market value.
Okay.
And by the way, their solvency ratio is not 73%. It's over 100. So they're guaranteed to pay, mandated by the federal government. And I believe they'll guarantee up to $1 million. The government will back up to $1 million on a segment, or 80 grand a year. So this thing is rock solid. Can we get good at presenting this to the public?
Yes, please.
I think it's fun.
Where can I find more information about this?
All right, everything I have, I'll send you.
Empire has some pretty cool videos on it too on the website.
When I process my
Well, I
They
have
might
this-
even have
I have
like
this where I pull out
public available
every year,
ones.
and then you're.
How much longer till your license is up?
You have one of these as
No,
well?
I have.
I have a couple.
I didn't know there's two
Nice.
other exams.
a number of
So check this out. I go to empire.ca. I click on advisors.
Within 30 days or something.
Then I click on not investment philosophy, but I click on class 3.0. And then I have all my marketing material right here. If you don't read the brochure, nobody will read you the brochure,
Bedtime story.
right? I believe it's page 386 of the system builder. It says, I have to read the brochure for my business. I'm a business owner. If you're a business owner, you have to read the brochure for your business. Nobody, I don't expect anyone to learn from me. You should try to do the same. So you can read all the rules. Make sense?
Yeah.
I want to teach you how to sell it. By the way, if you don't know the rules, you can sell it. If you know the rules, you can still sell it. If you don't know how it works, people will still buy it from you.
And you can play around with it, which is great, because you can put in different funds and it shows you the different.
Mm-hmm.
the
You can run-
Averages and stuff.
And I would start by saying, hey, we have young people buying it or old people. This is not an Aegon video, by the way, but
They sell
Set a
pretty well.
goal for when you want to retire. Now you've begun to think about the income you'll need in retirement. You wonder if you'll have enough to meet your expenses in retirement, and will that income last? You want guaranteed income for life. With Class Plus 3.0 from Empire Life, you're guaranteed to receive a predictable monthly income for as long as you live. Let's take a look at John, who's concerned he may not have enough income to meet his fixed expenses in retirement. John is 51 years old and is planning to retire at 65. He's saved $250,000 in his registered retirement savings plan. He
I didn't know
estimates
this
that
was
he'll have $30,000 a year in fixed retirement expenses. This will be partially covered by Canada Pension Plan and Old Age Security of $15,324. But he would have a shortfall of $14,676. John would like to invest the value of his RRSP to generate guaranteed income to help cover his fixed retirement expenses. His investment should also have the potential to grow. His advisor recommends the Class Plus 3.0 Segregated Fund Insurance Contract from Empire Life. Class Plus 3.0 will provide a stream of retirement income that is guaranteed for life, regardless of how markets perform. John also has the potential to grow his savings. Here's how Class Plus 3.0 can increase John's income when markets are down. Each year until retirement, John receives a 4% annual income base bonus. He'll receive the bonus for up to the first 20 years of the contract. For each year, there are no withdrawals. These bonuses increase the income he'll receive when he retires. This helps protect his future income from down markets and inflation. Even though the market value of his investment has been declining during the years leading to his retirement, his guaranteed income has been increasing. John is eligible to start taking income as early as age 55, but he defers taking income until his retirement to build up more bonuses and more income. By his retirement, assuming no withdrawals have been made, he'll receive a minimum of $15,600 a year guaranteed for life. But what happens if markets go up? Here's how Class Plus 3.0 can increase John's income when markets are strong. The 4% annual income-based bonus contributes to John's potential future income, same as in the down market example. Each year until retirement, John receives a 4% annual income-based bonus, which increases his retirement income. But this time, with a strong market, the income base, which resets every 3 years, locks in any market gains. This increases the potential income John will receive. John is eligible to start taking income as early as age 55, but he defers taking income until his retirement to build up more bonuses and more income. By retirement, assuming no withdrawals have been made, he'll receive a minimum of $21,497 a year, guaranteed for life. Once John retires, he also benefits from the annual automatic income reset, as his income may be recalculated upwards. And if his RIF minimum is higher in any year than his Class Plus 3.0 income, John can withdraw up to his RIF minimum without a negative impact to his future Class Plus 3.0 income. Regardless of whether markets go up or down, John's Class Plus 3.0 guaranteed retirement income will help meet his fixed expenses in retirement. John will always have access to his money if his retirement needs change. And if he dies, his money will go straight to his beneficiaries, bypassing probate provided he named a beneficiary. John now has a strategy to cover his expenses in retirement and the peace of mind that comes from guaranteed income for life. Talk to your advisor today about guaranteed retirement income for life with Class Plus 3.0 from Empire Life.
Here's your prospect. Ask someone, hey, when you invest, does your investment have seatbelts and airbags? And then you start talking. We're gonna practice this tomorrow. Go through that illustration so you know the example.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you,
If
Daniel.
I sell 10 of them a month, I make 40 grand a month. Sorry, if I sell 10 of them a month at $250,000, I make 80 grand that month. It's a lot of money made here. I think. Oh, and you also get a trail of 0.5% a year.
I will see you on Zoom.